Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Moin. Hello! Welcome to this week's episode of Where in the World is Jerry? I don't know. I'm guessing he's sitting in his comfy chair and is having a well-deserved relaxed break after working. Welcome Zoidpinhead, Demon Sub, Orinoco, Wonky Goblin, James Cuts, Jill, Nick, Hazy Boy. Welcome one, welcome all. Lucky us, Mel is back. If you haven't seen it, Mel the Terrain Tutor has just released a fresh video on his YouTube channels. I was really worried that he would fumble his last reboot, but there he is again. Hello Dutch. So, topic for today, the books. Since I really enjoyed the little waffle the team over at OTT had on their extra long bullshit episode about rulebooks, I thought I might put this out to the audience for a more direct conversation or sort. So, I personally love big tomes, just for display purposes, but I am a big fan of smaller A5 miniatures books to have just sitting next to you when you're actually playing. Simply because they don't take up as much space. If they're not that expensive and they're a bit cheap made, you don't really worry too much about them being ripped and torn and people grabbing them with their greasy little fingers. But I'm guessing that's to each their own. Of course, there's some caveat with that. If the A5 rulebook of any given game is just a shrunk down version of the A4 and they haven't rescaled the font sizes, that's a terrible decision, because even with young eyes that's going to put a strain on your blurry googly books. James buys all books and for A4 hardback every time. Well, yes, if you can get them. I mean, the weird thing is, let me see if I can grab it. Frostgrave is somewhere in the middle. It's not as big as A4, but it's not that small as A5. But it's a hardback. It's really sturdy. And it's just fun to breeze through. The font size is good, easy readable, not too much distractions in regards to diagrams and pictures and whatnot. So I feel this is my possible favorite format, but I don't feel many other games have gone this way. If you know any aside from Frostgrave, Stargrave, and what's the other one? He did another one. Can't remember. It's brown thingamajig with weird people. Rangers of Shadowdeep. Silver Bayonet. I think Silver Bayonet was that. But though might be both. I never had them in my grubby little hands. Nick says the Plunder book is a work of art. Never had the opportunity to grab that one. But overall, I feel that's a size that's small enough to fit in most any transportation boat, but it's also so big that it still feels it has value. And the inside is very well done, I feel, on the sub art of when it comes to rules. Welcome, Deadly. because it's explaining the world, the core rules. Then there's how to build your warband and how to play, and then there's a section of what you do after you've done your game. So it's very chronologically ordered, which I really, really like. Fluff is a separate book. The trouble with that is I feel fluff-loving people are in a minority, so those wouldn't sell as well, therefore being more expensive. Anyone have a Spiral Bound rulebook? Not to my knowledge, Wonky Goblin. Though I have seen people go out of their way and have their rulebooks be bound spiral after the fact they bought it and just cut it, or have just PDFs printed. Nick, I get that you're valuing pretty things over practical, but at the same time, would you play more if you weren't carrying around large volumes of tomes? And speaking of things that need to be done, I need something to drink, otherwise I'll be coughing like crazy the next few minutes. So hold on to your hats. No, it's not brown lemonade. It's just plain old cola. Oh yes, James, go you go raid your horrible cans. Yeah, Demon's Up, you're correct. Spirals are good for playing, but they don't look good on the shelf. I wish the local large printing company hadn't closed shop. They actually made very cheap and good bindings of PDFs. You brought them, so you could just bring your copy of, for example, Star Wars Legion Rules and say, "Make me this pretty," and you got a pretty book. Hello, Zog. Willkommen. And for smallish books, there's always the possibility to just use what you call them. These staples. Yeah, that's the word. My cranium isn't functioning. Quick reference sheet. Yes, that's. I feel that's the thing that should be mandatory in any given starter box with two-player factions, especially to have two different or two cheat sheets, just to have the most important stuff on one place and not just hand forth and back any rulebook. No, Zork, sorry, no, Jerry. Your guess is as good as mine where he is at. I'm currently my bet's on he's at home unwinding from a long work day. Excuse me. Speaking of indexing, I think I've never looked at the Frostgrave book if that's actually got an index. Let me take a look-see. So there's quick reference in the back. Nope, there's no index as such. Is there something in the front? Well, there's a index in the front. And again, it's very very well laid out, so, and it's not too big, so you find your rules very quickly. Welcome, Banchtal. First time chatter. So sword weirdos, space weirdos. Mr. Eisenhofer. Welcome. I hope you don't mind me being solo today. I think Jerry's off filming the Bait and Skull show. I wouldn't put it past him, but I don't think that's the actual reason. And while you're mentioning the Bait and Skull show, have you not watched the trailer for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? It's just cute. So, yeah, next year, cinema. Yay! Have a nice luncheon, Mr. Nick. Don't stuff yourself. Mando and Grogu going on a raid? Something? No, I think it's actually, was it March, April, May, and it's cinema only for the time being. It will be on Disney Plus eventually. I'm hoping they're going to tell us how Mando is getting another Silver Crest, because he's not flying the Naboo fighter in the trailer. So, who knows? I feel personally my biggest surprise was that Sigourney Weaver is actually in the movie as part of the Rebel Alliance. No, I don't think it's a prequel, because Grogu already has somehow mastered parts of his Force abilities. So, and the Silver Crest isn't just silver; it's silver and yellow. So I feel that's just the same ship type, but a later model. I don't think it's garbage cash on a cute toy opportunity, Wonky. It's let's face it, it's actually a show for young adults or kids. He decided they needed a toy in the ship again. Yeah, that could be it. Will Mark Hamill get a cameo? I hope not. Demon Sap, I think there is an Andor movie that finishes the show. I'm pretty sure there's a Rogue One out there. Hello, Crispin, Mr. from far, far on beyond. No, if they bring him back after the planet has been destroyed, that would be very terrible. They could just, because there were so large time gaps within the episodes, they could insert him there at times, but no, don't ruin it. It was nice. No, no, it's enough that the Emperor is somehow getting revived all the times. Yeah, more stories. Speaking of stories and No Jedi, I really like the Skeleton Crew one, with barely any Jedi in it. Well, it's a teaser trailer, Wonky, so I'm not sure they have given away any big talking point. And to be fair, if it's just a kids movie with a thin-clad story on top of a pretty-looking Star Wars movie, I'm willing to watch that and indulge myself for 90 plus minutes to just not be worrying about the world for an hour or two. And my daughter is excited for it. I'm excited for it, so we're going to go to the cinema anyhow. Yeah, Crispin, but you like the Han Solo movie, but you're a weird one. That being said, if we ignore the part that they tried to shoehorn in Han Solo's origin story, the movie as sci-fi western was decent. It's it could have stood on its own hadn't they tried to mush in Han Solo. Ah, James, you'll never forget that one. Neither will we ever forget the Christmas special or the sequels. I'm still wondering if they really go on with their project redoing the sequels. That would mean I'd have to buy yet another the complete box of Star Wars movies. Oh, The Apprentice. Yeah, that Jesus, that was a shit fest. A Luke Skywalker origin movie. I feel if you own all the DVDs, you could just plonk that one together by all yourself. I'm not even going to honor that with a remark, James. I'm not. No, 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 no. And speaking of Star Wars Legion, today Asmodee did something interesting. At least I noticed today. They have reorganized their community backend so that the downloadable files are in one place. And instead of having a static page where all individual files are linked, they made a PDF with hyperlinks. So there's a 3-page PDF or 5 pages, I can't remember, and within it there's sorted of categories like rules, cards, whatever, and you click the link and you get the most recent PDF. That's almost kind of clever. Oh, Asmodee never stopped selling things, Dutch? A farming trilogy. Collecting water. Oh, I know why it's so silent here now. I forgot to turn on the music. Hold on a sec. I need some background music here. We can't do a show while I'm only listening to the echoes of my own voice, because that's that's not how we run here. Where is it? We go here, and then we click somewhere. Let's go. No, that's not the one I wanted. Let's go here. Or even better, do this one. Star Killer will be in Ahsoka season 2. Maybe. I'm unaware of any Shatterpoint distribution problems, but then again, I don't bother about that. James Katz is tempted by the new big boxes for Star Wars Legion. Yes. And there's literally no reason for me to buy them other than there's cards and gaming tokens that are needed inside. But do I really? I don't know. I might be persuaded to buy them. Of course, you can never have in too many stormtroopers, especially since they upped the level of the number of miniatures you can have in a unit and the total amount of numbers. They basically went the same way that Games Workshop did. It's 1,000 points now for a single game of normal play, but with more miniatures. I mean, yes, more miniatures, and Stormtroopers are easy enough to be painted. And I really want some of those Rebel Troopers with their variety and the upcoming boxes of, what are they called? Generic commanders? Oh, that's how you know how way off I'm on my gaming. Let me see. Atomic March games. Doom Star Wars. Show me. Customizable Imperial offices and agents, and same thing for Rebels, of course. Customizable Rebel offices and agents. Yeah, that's the one. Original Stormtroopers. The pre-sequels I do not have. I don't think they even exist in Legion yet. Yeah, because that's one thing. I do sound excited about them because that's the one thing that Legion was lacking in the past, and that was customizability of your miniatures. You had a box of miniatures and they went together in one way and one way only, and there were no spare parts whatsoever until they started using your standard high impact plastics injection mold sprues. Only then we started to get spare parts and bits to make our own stuff. And seems like they got that complaint for more than once, and now you can do variations. Yeah, a few Darth Vaders and Lukes, and I think one or two other models have multiples as well, but again, can you have enough Darth Vaders, evil doers? No. But you can field only one, so the droids were fun. Was assembly of the droids fun? I hear people screaming about the B1 battle droids. People were very annoyed about two-part heads and stuff. The Austin Chronic that is out of scale was on Shatterpoint, I think. He was a bit out of scale. James, that might be easy, but I only heard the general shouting and moaning of the internet way back when they were released, and people were complaining about how fucking awful those are. Yep, that's the problem with that special model. And I really wish we will get to know how that actually happened. Something must have gone completely wrong there. And again, on the topic of Star Wars Legion and Atomic Mass Game in particular, I don't know if any of you have seen them, but Atomic Mass Game have started to do base level introductory how to build and paint your miniature videos. They're not bad. Come looking at them from a perspective of having done some painting in the last 25 years. They're solid. Oh, Dutch, you're not talking about Vader, you're talking about Christian Heidelsen. Vader was a large guy. No, I don't think, James. It's for one, the production quality of the videos is very good. It's not terrible like, say, Catalyst Game Lab videos. Though that's a low bar to beat. No, they're actually well done. They are structured well. Maybe on one or two details, I might be of a different opinion than their presenters, but then again, to each their own. No, James, that's true. It's not really hard to be better than what Catalyst Game Labs is putting out on videos, which still baffles my mind. No, not as good, not nearly as good as Sarastro, and Sarastro is really, really good. I feel he's the kind of person you could really sit a whole day and being taught by him how to be a better painter. David Prowse, according to Lucas, was only in the suit when Vader stood still after New Hope. Okay. I somehow doubt that, but then again, it's 40 years ago. Who even cares? Can you imagine Cheap Dragon doing PR for a company like Catalyst Game Labs? That would be hilarious. Where Mossy Ross doing tips on how to paint your dropships. Yeah, Wonky Go. That might be the case that they had somebody else doing the fencing, but there have been more scenes with Vader not just standing still but also moving. Cheesy and false Timu adverts are better than CG. Again, that's not a very high bar to beat, so. Oh, and thanks for the reminder of Timu, and good night, Dutch. Oh, what's his name again? Brad from Jeebus My Names. What's his face again? Hold on a second. This is getting on me nerves. I'll be able to tell you in about a few seconds, I hope. Is the webcam still sponsored by Vaseline? I guess yes. Goobertown, yes, that's the one, James. Thank you. He made a very, I feel, left field video for coming from any hobby channel, being very in depth on how miniatures are made for one-page rules. And he's got a very interesting way of showing off stuff, and I love the fact that somebody over at the factory was able to to get video footage for him so that he could do a narrated how to make your miniatures video. Oh, thanks for the gifted sub, James Guts. If you haven't seen that, Benjamin, I highly recommend that. Let me see if I can grab the link real quick. Where did it go? Bloody hell. Huh. Somehow made its way out of my playlist. That's not good. How did that happen? Mr. Goobletown Hobbies, where do you hide your videos and why do you hide them? Cutty and pasta. I see Jill was quicker than me. I can't remember if he'd done something similar for injection plastic. He did one on a paint company, if I remember correctly. Though that's just from very, very far memory. I think he is a chemist by trade, isn't he? At least I think he is. Though that might be completely out of my arse. Oh, that must have been way back before my time then, Danley. I can't remember Warren with his visiting a caster and showing off the process on Beast of War. I thought he had done a video on the Duncan Rhodes paints prior to being on the factory team for Army Painter. But then again, I might mix up my YouTubers in this part of the discussion. James Cards will be on the at open day this Saturday. No, I'm not going. Sorry. Oh, you young kids with your ones and zeros, Mr. Punchner. Oh, could be that it was MS Paints. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. They did Transatlantic Games. Yeah. See, that's at certain points I start to mix up my channels. Yeah, I think that was MS Paints. For the record, he's a guy I'd love to have on the show at some point in the future, though why would he? Am I muted? I hope not. Nope. 10 from James, so maybe you put yourself on mute? Or your noise cancelling headsets have just gone bust. Get Nick on and talk about dioramas. Nick is having dinner. But in all seriousness, if any of viewers watching have any ideas for upcoming videos or live streams or whatever, feel free to put them in the comments. Have a good night then. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of the day. And don't forget to collect your dog poops. It's very important. Yeah, but see, this is the thing. I really would like to have more collaboration on this whole YouTube Twitchy streamy thing. But making that happen is hard because time zones and what do you call it? Oh god, my dictionary is just blanking. Responsibilities, like in real time, real life stuff that needs to be done, like working and writing bills and paying bills. Plastic crack. If you want, also, it's not just that I would like to have people on my channel. If you want to have a old ranty German on your podcast screaming into the void, I'm available. And I'm not holding back. Key is ignoring responsibilities. I won't argue that, Jill, but might I remind you that I'm married and my wife might like me to take care of my responsibilities. Yes, I had very much fun doing the talk with John about tanks and Miatas. Sadly, Ben never really got back to me because I had asked him to come on, but maybe mail got lost. I don't know. So feel free to reach out. It's always a pleasure to talk about hobby with different folk. How many times did you mention dwarves to Ben? I think I inserted them every second line of dialogue as a sneaky attack. Though that might be a lie. You never know. Ah. We're on to the next bottle. Cheers. Yes, I'm all for that. Thing is, I feel I've talked about my journey into the hobby way too often at this point. And it's hard to get people actually on anything because it's their spare time. And if I judge by my own spare time is valuable. I haven't seen Pete in a long time now that you mention him. I've seen his occasional Warhammer picture putting up, but has he been on Discord or the forums lately? I feel he's almost missing in action. Maybe somebody said something wrong and now he's annoyed. Pete, if you're listening, miss you. Same goes for Tuffy. Tuffy had been here in the first few episodes and now she's not here. Did you say his green was wrong again? No, I would never say that. Maybe. Potentially. Could be. Wouldn't be far from me to tell people that they do use wrong colors, even though I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. See, that's the glory of having no clue about anything. You can just talk shit. If people believe you, it's their fault. Check your information. Check your resources. Don't believe anything. Question everything. Well, maybe not everything, but you get the gist. He did for a time Demon Sub, but and this is just now by memory. I feel like he hasn't done so in a long time, but then again, I'm rarely looking into the share your projects thread. No, I'm in the better house, James. And Tuffy has been away for a while, though think she had a rough start of the year, if I remember correctly. Oh, so he is still around. That's good to hear. I feel there's been some kind of shift, for lack of a better term, on people on site and offline. But that might be just my impression. Many of you are more or less in the same part of the world when it comes from my perspective. I'm just sitting on the other side of the pond. Maybe Tuffy has now just burned through all her paints, and she's a speed demon when it comes to painting. So what else have we in the last week? So there's new stuff coming out for Dystopian Wars, some more stuff from what do you call it, Armored Clash, and Ronnie's trying to make D8s and round bases a thing in Kings of War, and Jerry is now off away to kill him. Yes, I'd been. I'd say the bulk of OTT / Beast of War is UK base, and the second largest user group is possibly Europe, and then it's US and the rest of the world. Kings of War. Good night, Demons Up. Hello, Itchy Pirate. Yeah, it was an interesting take. They really got me in the first minute with, oh, let's throw all the dice and round bases. I actually expected Jerry to burst into through that door and just whack everybody with a large slab of concrete. But then again, Alessio was almost as good. Good evening, Taros. You're late today. Hope you had an enjoyable evening so far. James, nobody's keeping you from trying to make D8 working on that game. Just don't come running crying if Jerry is finding out where you live. The sad thing is the humor of these skits is almost lost to people who know nothing about the game. And I have to confess, I had to think hard occasionally to know what is going on here before it clicked. James, the problem with people like Ronnie is they're probably serious all the time. They're not really sure what they're talking about. People believing their own words are technically not lying. We definitely don't have loads of them sitting in the warehouse. They are on the charm offensive with the community first. You noobs can come in later. Well, fair enough. James, I don't think that would have cut it. I feel if they had mentioned movement trace for circular bases, that'd have been way more fun. And it feels like the hobby industry is shifting in a big way. Like some companies really tend to get bigger, more important to her. Let's make round bases and then square bases with round holes. Um, I have to trust you on that, Charles, because I literally have zero idea on how Kings of War or anything else is connected in any way, shape, or form. That's the drawback of being just a little pleb playing the occasional game of Frostgrave, Star Wars Legion Battletech, Blood Bowl, and that's about it. Still haven't touched the Armored Clash stuff. And there are still miniatures to be painted. Why is Hobby so hard? Why is it so hard? Hobby, why you hard? Well, that's self-inflicted wounds, James. If you have Armored Clash and Epic Warpath, that's two very similar games fighting for attention and money and space and time. And I still don't know if anybody else in this town is playing Armored Clash. I feel I need to visit the local game club again sooner or later. Oh, and also, um, just because it shot through my head now, coming back to my open invitation for anybody to join me on anything online, I also still have my audio only format that's hosted on my blog. So if you just want to chat without any video, that's fine as well. So just making sure that everything's out there. Oh, James, that's yeah. I did buy two armies, but still, you need to find somebody who's interested in playing. Hobby is hard because people keep putting on live streams to distract us. I do have a hobby blog. It's on the interwebs. Go and type www.warmonger.de. Though the podcast isn't there. The podcasts are on. How was it called again? Oh, let's see. Let's go. Yay! Jill did her hobby before stream. What did you do? Did you do any basing? Did you do any more interesting bits and bobs? Maybe some battle reports for Jerry to enjoy later on? Blood Ravens. 40k, I think? I guess. Potentially. Maybe. Space Marines. I'm pretty sure it's Space Marines. Firstborn Marines, yeah. Those from the nice video game that is called Dawn of War. But that's the best way to paint anything, in my opinion. If you just fancy to paint a miniature of sorts, go have it. My biggest problem is I fancy building more than painting, so I end up with big piles of grey plastic. And I really don't like the look of that. Hence, I try to only build a few models, paint them, and then build the next ones. That being said, there's way too much terrain waiting to be primed and painted. And I still need to figure out how to go on with storing and stacking my stuff. Oh, they had to be stripped first. That's always not nice. Especially if there are resin or plastic miniatures and you can't go full on mental with chemicals. That makes stripping metal miniatures way more easy. Excuse me. It's a very dry evening. What's keeping you from painting your Gothic Rune Wonky Goblin? Could it be possibly the fact that you're sculpting your miniatures and doing a game? I mean, at least you're doing some kind of hobby. The only hobby I'm currently doing is this, which is hobby and potentially interesting background noise for certain people. Though I still wonder why. Then again, who am I to judge? Welcome to this video / stream. Happy to have you here. Oh. Yes, kinda. So the initial plan was to get the hot wire cutter to big chunks of circular pieces and do a rune that looks vaguely like the set that's been sold by Bits of War. I ended up with this. So this is the better looking part. Some ladders. Just some skewers with toothpicks. Fine. Not great, but it does the trick. Here's the tower. And please hold on to your pants. Oh no, wrong way on. It's basically a tube of chips with a platform on top and a... Yeah, it's just wedged in there. But it works. And it's fitting. It's gameable. Yep, I got my 2 levels, Stanley. You're correct on that. I got 2 levels. I got my my stairs to get up. The levels are above 3 inches, so there's actually risk of getting fall damage this time, because up until now all our games have been on a single level plane. It's the least expensive way to build a 2-level tower ever. Am I going to sign up for Netscape now because I've got cities? Man. Hold on. In the good old days, we burned a lot of CDs. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. I've got bases for years. I'm pretty sure the data on these is not readable anymore. Almost. Almost, James, almost. Not quite, but almost. We just talked about my Frostgrave bell tower. Very fancy. Maybe I should start a project for that. Make it a 2-picture project. Look, a tube. Look, a CD. Done. And then I'm getting a golden button for it. There won't be a light shot. I'll do a 360 on the turntable. Zoid been ahead. Terrainfest winner for sure. Won't get the results until March. March 2027. Yeah, it's but let's not be too harsh. It's a small team and they're doing a lot. Especially with something coming like the Conflict 47 week from Monday on. Which is something I got caught off guard. I didn't think there would be a whole week dedicated for Conflict 47, but then again, I'm guessing there's marketing budget in that. I could do it on my record player in the living room, James. That's absolutely a possibility. But then again, I have my trusty little turntable. Voila! Is Warlord Conflict 47? I forget. See there, so and it's basically what we all said would happen since Warren and Lloyd sold OTT to Wayland. It's a media outlet. That's fair enough. And let's face it, if you're a backstager, you can still win something. I'm not so sure about Conflict 47. I don't know where, but somebody did a video on YouTube and was showing off the scale is a bit bigger than other stuff, and the design is all, I don't know. But then again, I'm not a historical gamer. I'm not into World War II gaming, so I don't really care. The concept is interesting, but so is Armored Clash, and that's World War One. That's even more fancy, I feel. Oh, and somebody was asking about color dice to use for their faction, and James lost it. Yeah, I feel alternative World War II ending scenarios have been multiple versions. Was it Dust? I think it was called Dust. Dust 47 even, maybe? Let's see. Yeah, Dust 47. That's another one. Basically, same but different. Well, James, at least they didn't ask what scale the miniatures are and why the bases are not how they are. Stop asking for old games to come back, James. We are spoiled by choice, as is. Can you imagine there being any more good games on the market? When will you play any of those if you're just collecting and painting and building, and you're never going to get to play all those games? I feel what a scenario would be if we go the way of alternative history. What if Rome hadn't succeeded to being as successful as they were, but instead Egypt would have taken over the Mediterranean, and then more or less the rest of the world? How would that have turned out? Would Cairo be a religious center point of the world by now? Yes, Carthage wins. At any big point in history where anything really turned the tides of time. And I'm by no means historically literate by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm really talking out of my rear end here. But like events from 1066, if that had gone the other way, or if the invasion from any outside European force would have been successful, the Huns, or getting even weirder, what would have happened if, let's say, South America would have been more industrial than Europe, and South America would have conquered Europe? Uh, technically, you are all speaking German, Zoid Pinhead. You just haven't realized. Wonky Goblin, that's too close to the current timeline. There's not enough meat on the bone to have a proper history divergence. I feel if you go back only a couple of decades, where's the fun in that? You still have your history up until that is still set in stone. Go far beyond. Go nuts. Imagine Jesus not being born. Or something like the plague never happened in the Middle Ages, and Europe would have been drowning in people. Or what would have happened to the world if Christopher Columbus had been drowning on his first trip over to India? America never got discovered for another 200 years, maybe? Who knows how history would have turned out if it hasn't been for large amounts of gold and silver coming from South America to Europe. That's just me saying there's so many influences on things happening. I think we can't comprehend. Or imagine black powder being used as a form of weapon way before when it actually was. Yes, I know that Vikings were there prior, but the news didn't make it back. So, yeah. What if they had established trade routes and settlements and would have been the first to actually call that home again? Blame the Dutch while cheesy, isn't he? Or, if you really don't want to go that far back, what would have happened to the world if JFK wouldn't have been assassinated? How would that have turned out? See, James, and that's the point where I'm just throwing ideas at the wall because I have no exact understanding of what actually happened. I have a very vague picture of things that happened in the past in certain regions, mostly thanks to things like the Time Team and music videos. But yeah, history wasn't a big subject in class here. Unless it's about the time 1933 to 1945. Ugh. Oh god, now I'm having nightmares, James. Thanks for that. Everybody wearing lederhosen. Oh god, no. Please. What if Bavaria was the German unifier, not Prussia? Oh god. Or what if the French hadn't pushed back on the English on their home turf and parts of France would still be English? How about that? If England had a land border with the European Union. There's so much weird stuff to be held, but for some odd reason, people are clinging to World War One and World War Two to make odd alternate history. Trench Crusade being one of the few exceptions in recent memory, being absolutely going nuts. Though you might say they have went off the boat a wee bit too far, but then again, who am I to judge? Napoleon returns but negotiates. Yeah, that's a take. Or Napoleon gets killed off by a stray bullet. or just maybe focus on history within the south of Africa before colonization, India before the British wrangled it. There's so much history to fuck around with. What if the printing press hadn't been invented that early? If books had been rare for another 200 years? Yeah, James, Japan in itself is an interesting country, but since they had been keeping to themselves for hundreds of years, I think there's little of varying history. Oh, well, here's another one. What if the American War of Independence would have failed? Imagine the US of A still being a British colony to this day. Wonky Goblin, I think that's a claim you can make for any country that has any part in colonization. So, the Dutch, the British, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Germans, the French. If you had colonies, there's a pretty safe bet you fucked it up at some point. And it's so much interesting stuff out there. I'm with you on that, Zoidpinhead. Empires are nasty in themselves. Imagine the NSDAP not winning elections in the 30s and the Weimar Republic being still a valid country today. There would be many differences in how anything works. Yeah, Dandy, that's the thing. I think that no existing country of today that has been around for more than 100 years has anything but a clean vest. Trouble is when countries stop acknowledging their wrongdoings from the past, in my book. So own it, suck it up. Oh, now I've got an idea. You're pretty much familiar with the fact that indigenous people in America got very sick from European people, North and South America. Imagine that being the other way around, when the colonization just goes south because there's some kind of virus that just kills the Europeans and the indigenous people don't care at all. And then they sail back to Europe, bringing some weird plague back to Europe, and Europe is wiped off the map. Depends, Zoidbin. If it's absolutely a fantasy game like Star Wars universe, I can work with good versus evil, or if it's a fantasy setting where it's orcs versus empire, orcs being the good guys, empire being the bad guys. If it has any resemblance to actual history, yeah, I think everybody is to blame for anything. There are no innocent bystanders in the war. Yeah, Delhi, that's what I'm talking about. Or what if the one of the most famous battles with Romans and Germans in what's it called again? Die Schlacht von Varus. Not sure how that is translated. If 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 they hadn't been decimated, but just went through, how would that have turned tides on Europe? Yes, Teutoburg. That's the one. Imagine though that didn't happen. Well then, or to spin it in a fun way, imagine there actually had been a little village somewhere in France resisting the Romans up until 50 BC because they are strong. Jill, you gotta be brave now and be a real grown up. Of course he's real. I'm just talking bollocks. Don't worry. Asterix is real as you want him to be. And I should know. I read all the comics. You are a lovely, silly bunch, you are. What if Obelix had a bigger rock? Yeah. The forest is in terrible condition. Trees everywhere. Graphic non-fiction. And let's be honest. If you're trying to learn Latin or any part of history, you can do worse than reading Asterix comics. They are pretty good. The movies hit and miss at times, but the comics go nuts. And I still wish there was an official game for that, but there isn't. There had been miniatures years back, but the problem is the rights holders wanted more cash, so that went nowhere. James is enjoying the Benedictine beer, so yeah, the Helles is nice and light. It's a nice beer to have or with a nice and light dinner, or just on a hot day to cool off. And speaking of hot, we're down into the 1-digit range in the mornings. I'm cycling to work at 7 degrees Celsius and I'm so happy. Not sweating like an ox when arriving. And the best part, it's dark. I don't have to see anybody. Oh, Taurus, that's a nice one. A few years ago, someone at Hamburg Taktika had several miniatures of that range painted and played a game of Asterix versus Romans using... Oh, what rule set was that again? Congo? I think Congo. Taktika. It's end of February? Question mark? Yeah. They redid their webpage 28th of February to March the 1st. So it's end of February, 1st of March. 2 days of happy little painting figures. The Perry twins will probably be there again. And what's this called again? The one who does the nice scantily clad ladies. Brother Vinny. James Cutt travels around the EU for miniatures. If you actually make it to Hamburg, I will see to it that I haul my ass over there as well. Would be a shame to let that pass just because I was too lazy to get over there. And, excuse me for coughing, while I'm on the subject of lazy, if OTT can call a 60-minute video an extra long bullshit video, I'm going to call this one extra long. And since I'm all out of drink and I'm starting to cough like a chain smoker, I think I'll have to cut you today. So cut you from the stream, not cut you, because the other cutting is Jerry's department, not mine. So I'm going to shut the fuck up now. I'm going to leave you to your own devices. Have some hobby time for yourselves. Again, if you feel free to make contact with anybody who might want to join in or who wants to have me as a guest on, for whatever reason that might be. And with that, I bid you all farewell, goodbye, and see you a lot next week. Unless I'm dropping dead in the meantime, which I don't plan to, but you never know. Teddy bye!